welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Oh, welcome, Grump. We're running a little late today.
What a shocker.
This is a Sunday evening show. For those of you who are new and not acclimated to what TJ and the Grumpy Old Man is, it is a twice-a-week sports podcast. We talk all things sports on this podcast. It could be anything from MLB, NFL, NBA, college athletics, NHL, and European soccer. Anything and everything sports. We also do have a fan favorite segment of fan fights that we usually do. As long as there's good fights out there, we'll always be showing you some interesting fan fights. Today, we're going to be introducing a new segment. It's called Guess What Happens Next.
Oh, boy.
So we'll find out whether this is a success or whether it falls flat on its face, just trying to keep things, new and creative as possible, Grumpy. So I have a feeling Grumpy is the one who will not know what's going on in these selections. I will show him a freeze frame, and he will guess what happens next. I'll give him a few options. So hopefully that will be something you guys enjoy. And again, if you're new to the show, welcome. We invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. This podcast goes live every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, that's correct. And I always like to add the ish at the end of those times. As you can tell, 8 o'clock today is actually 8:35.
Oh man, Grumpy. Man,
9 o'clock, 9:20.
Well, it's at this time period in sports to where pretty much everything is MLB at the moment, right? The NBA is in the off season. The NFL is still in off season yet. Camp, they report to camp, I believe, July 30th.
2 weeks, week and a half.
So July 30th, yeah. So
and we're ready. Then the NFL is back.
Yeah, exactly, Grump. So you got this time period where the NBA is in the offseason, the NHL is in the offseason, European soccer right now is in the offseason with the transfer window, and the NFL starts up in about 2 weeks. So right now it's pretty much, hey, MLB gets a lot of love, and we're going to be doing a lot of prep work for this upcoming NFL season. I'm starting to get ready. I'm starting to get pumped up for the NFL, Grumpy.
I've been working on my fantasy football, possible mock drafts, getting into the money leagues, going to make some money again this year. That's what we're hoping for. I'm going to be ready.
My God, you and the fantasy sports. Goodness gracious, Grump. But today we're going to be talking MLB news. Today is the round one of the MLB Draft, so we're going to be talking about that. Some familiar faces going off the board, and I tell you, Grump, some callbacks to ex-players, kids that are now making their way through and up into professional baseball. So we're going to be talking a little about the MLB Draft. We're going to be talking about Juan Soto, who turned down a massive, and I mean a massive contract with the Washington Nationals. The Nationals recently offered him this week 15 years, and he's going to get paid he would have been paid $440 million on a 15-year contract.
So you're looking at like $29,667,000 a year for 15 years.
Yes.
What does it tell you? It should tell you everything.
It should tell you this, Washington. They're in the market to trade Juan Soto because he is not signing back.
Yeah, he doesn't want to play there.
That's correct.
That's what it says. And now it's like, okay, they've been stalling, giving him multiple contract offers. And after this last rejection, they're like, nope, we're moving him. So, and I mean, he has a long way to go before he's an unrestricted free agent. Mm-hmm. But actually any free agency, at this point in time, they can see the writing on the wall. You might want to just trade him now and get whatever you can. And they'll get a lot for him.
You're going to get more of a haul now trading him than you would have if you hold on and wait until he's in that last year time period before he become an unrestricted free agent, after he goes through arbitration or after he goes through those years where he's not an unrestricted free agent. As soon as he hits the market, was it 27 years old?
Something like that.
as soon as he becomes available in 4 years' time. I think it's 4 years for him.
I think it's
He'll
time
be
of service. I think it's time of service. So maybe there's 2 years left or a year and a half or whatever it is. Long story short, you can't lose a free agent like that for nothing. Just cannot let that happen.
I agree with you, Grump. So we're going to be talking about potential trade destinations for a guy like Juan Soto. Today, we're also going to be talking about, man, oh man, the hot Seattle Mariners, Grumpy. Mariners, I'm sorry.
9 wins in
Yep.
a row.
What?
9 wins in a row.
9 wins in a row no, it's 14 wins in a row.
Oh, I thought it was 9. My bad.
14 straight wins in a row, and they're 22 out of the last 25 games. So unbelievably hot, Grump.
And they're a young team. They're a young team playing a lot of younger players, which bodes well for their future as well. Anything can happen, but boy, when you throw youngsters into the mix and they all start performing, that's a good thing. If you're a fan base, that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely, Grump. Absolutely. Let's get to a few comments here before we start. What's up, John M? He's saying, good evening, guys. What's up, John? James F saying, hey, guys. I see the Mets drafted a catcher. Yankees got the 25th overall pick. Yes, the Mets did draft the catcher, drafted Kevin Parada. So we're going to talk about that later and kind of what that possibly could write on the wall, because people who are familiar with the Mets organizations might know that they've got a guy who's a top 5 prospect in the ML, or at least in the minors at the moment. He's in AAA. Francesco Alvarez, who's a catcher. He's rated by MLB.com as a number 2 overall prospect in a game. So maybe this selection here is to prepare themselves in case a Francisco Alvarez has to be headed the other direction in a Juan Soto trade. So we're going to talk about that. Aaron G says, let's go Tigers.
Which Tigers is he talking about? Auburn Tigers, Detroit Tigers,
Detroit Tigers, Grump.
Toledo Tigers. Okay. All right. Go Tigers. Or actually, well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Okay. Maybe the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I don't know. I'm just looking at that fantasy football first place trophy. I don't know.
I figured you would talk a little bit about the Detroit Tigers, but no worries. I mean, they're struggling big time, but I assume he's more enthused about the draft pick. I mean, they get Jace Jung, I assume. Maybe that's what he's excited about. It's MLB Draft Day, Grumpy. That's what he's talking about for the Tigers. Come on.
I don't know who the Tigers drafted. I do not know.
Okay. John Evans. Yep, they did draft. Yeah, from a hotbed from catchers. Yeah, Georgia Tech does. Yep. Parada is his name.
Yeah. I mean, even if, let's say this youngster pans out, right? It's still going to be what, 2-3 years tops, or I mean, at the shortest point before he makes Major League Baseball. You have Alvarez, who's ready to step in. And I got to say, TJ, I'm going to give you credit, thinking the Mets might need to sacrifice somebody like that for Juan Soto. Look at you thinking outside the box. Usually that's not something you do.
Grump, did you not prepare for this show at all, Grumpy? Did you not do the work and the homework as to what trade destinations possibly Juan Soto could be going to?
No, I'm not breaking down players at this point in time.
Jesus, Grumpy. You're killing me, man. You're killing me, Grump. Anyway, definitely not a douche says, TJ over here looking like a Make-A-Wish kid who got his trip to Disneyland. That's it. Got my trip to Disney. Joel said, Fantasy Football Viewers League. I'd be down to have some sort of fantasy football league here for everybody if they want to go ahead. And we've done like a fantasy hockey league like 2 or 3 years ago for the Islanders podcast, and it went pretty well. But I mean, we might do something like that for football and just go ahead and get it out there. That could be fun. John M says that maybe Mets taking a catcher because they're going to trade. Yep, the number 1 prospect for Soto. Yep, Francisco Alvarez, probably on the way out. And they just drafted the shortstop from Rockwell Heath, Texas, committed to Mississippi State next year.
Yeah, these kids are so far away that you never know what's going to happen.
I'm trying to see who the hell they selected. Jet Williams, 5'8" as a shortstop.
Yikes.
Not towering big. Not Detroit Tigers, Grumpy. There you go.
Okay,
Aaron,
Detroit Tigers. Okay.
Frank saying, hello all. TJ Grumpy, old man. Hello.
What's up, Frank?
James F saying another blowout by the Yankees. Yeah, they beat the living hell out of the Red Sox the day before, and they did so again today.
They are, maybe all of my saying how they're not built correctly to win in the playoffs, they're just decimating the teams in the regular season, though. I mean, every game is like double digits. They got this piece of shit, Matt Carpenter, who's just absolutely on fire. I'm very disappointed in that, to be honest with you, even as a Yankees fan.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When you start playing the guys that should always be playing, the fact that Boone wasn't playing him earlier on this season and even middle of the way through the season when he was starting to heat up is just criminal. And you wonder when you come back from the All-Star break as to how they're going to utilize him. The guy's having, for the limited action he's seen, his OPS is unreal. On base plus slugging percentage is unreal for the at bats he's had. He's had a fantastic year, and he should be a mainstay in the lineup every single night. You got to find a way to put him in there. You can't take his bat out of the lineup at the moment.
I'll start rooting for him after next week.
Grumpy again with your silly fantasy sports. But you're speaking about how the Boston Red Sox, come off of two, I'd say, embarrassing losses. You got yourself a time period where I think it's Troy Tulowitzki. I think he's on the DL at the moment.
Troy Tulowitzki doesn't play for them.
Who the hell is it? Their shorts, Trevor Story. You know what? I'm sorry. It was the wrong ex-Colorado Rocky shortstop. But Trevor Story. I was about to say, even when I said Troy Tulowitzki, I'm like, no, I feel like he's been retired for a while. And today,
the biggest loss they suffered today is what you're going to see right about now.
Yep.
Oh. And that hits Sale. And it goes into right field. Torres will score, and Sale is walking off the mound. That really got him. It's an RBI single for Hicks. It's
obviously a broken finger.
Let's see if Sale's okay.
Yeah, that's a broken finger, Mike. That ball went right off his hand. There's just no other way. You can see that pinky is just disfigured.
Yeah, so Chris Sale, it wasn't like he broke his pinky on his catching hand or his mitt hand. He broke his pinky on his throwing hand. So he's going to be out for a little bit of time. A guy who he actually popped up on last week's podcast, destroying the dugout in the AAA affiliate game because he didn't like how many walks he did and how he felt like the ump was squeezing him. And he takes a fastball, or he takes the ball off a finger like that and breaks his finger. I mean, how long? Do you know how long they've got him out projected for, Grump?
If there's no surgery, you're looking 6 to 8 weeks, and he's usually a slow healer. So you're looking 8 weeks for him.
How do you know he's a slow healer?
Because I've had him on my fantasy teams the last couple of years, and all he does is take up a disabled list spot. And he just came back this week, and another injury. I got a little notification today on my phone. Chris Sale exits after getting hit by a pitch. I'm like, oh, God. And I didn't even know what the injury was. I'm like, you watch, this son of a gun is going to be out for the rest of the year. Long story short, if they have to do surgery, he's done for the regular season. So
yikes. I mean, you don't want to see anything like that for these guys. And I mean, you think about after you've worked and rehabbed so hard to get to a point where you're healthy again, on your second start, you go ahead and you get hit by a bat on the ball immediately, and you break a pinky like that, and now you're back on the injury list.
The problem that he's had is he's had 3 straight years of injuries. 3 straight years. He's had the Tommy John, which happened mid-season of 2020, 2021. He came back towards the end of the year. And then this year he fractured a rib, and he missed the whole season up till this week.
Yeah.
And now he has a little pinky injury, and he's out for the rest of the year. He'll be out for the rest of the year. There's no doubt in my mind.
You think he'll be out in the postseason too?
What makes you think the Red Sox are making the postseason?
They can maybe squeak themselves into a wild card spot, no?
Okay, so he'll have to pitch out of the bullpen then, I guess. He's not going to be able to. No.
He's 8 weeks. I mean, he's still going to get some starts in the regular season.
8 weeks?
Correct.
I don't think so. They're saying if he has to have surgery on the finger, and that finger looked mangled.
Just looks a little broken.
Okay, it's his
Get some
pitching
popsicle
hand.
sticks and tape that thing straight, and you'll be good.
It's his pitching hand. I'm just saying he's going to be out rest of the year. Certainly rest of the regular season.
He definitely looks like he's not going to be recovering from that one as quickly as like a little tiny, like if it was a little hairline fracture.
And it takes forever for him to heal. And like I said, the only reason I know is because I've had him on my fantasy team 3 years in a row. Guy gets a hangnail, he's out 6 months.
Tony Cheese says, by homework, TJ means we're treating 50 people an hour and a half before the podcast. That's it, Tony Cheese. That's a fact. John M said, I coach Rockwell Richardson high school hockey team. Great kid, is what he said about the guy the Mets drafted.
Well, that's great. You like high character kids.
Oh, yeah. Shortstop there, Grump. Yeah, there it is.
I don't understand 5'8" though.
What's wrong with that?
It's just, I mean, I guess he better be able to steal bases. He's not going to be a home run guy. 5'8"? No.
Puts the bat on the ball. That's what's important, Grump. Get on base.
He's probably a slap and Judy hitter, just bing, bang, boom, little punch and Judy hitter, just beep, bang, boom, which is okay. That's okay. But
maybe, I don't know, Grump.
He's not going to have a whole lot of power. He's going to be, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping he's fast and can steal some bases, put some pressure on defenses. I don't know. Little soft line drive is going to go over his head. That's for certain.
My God. Anyway, moving along there, Grump. Drew L says here, one of the guys in the Collegiate Summer League that I work at got drafted 13th overall.
I mean, this is so exciting for those kids. And, I'm just joking. I'm just joking about, the kid that the Mets drafted. I mean, what an exciting time for him and for his family. And we wish them all the best. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this high school kid getting drafted by a professional team. I mean, it's not a dream come true for just about every kid. I think it is.
And a nice signing bonus.
Well, yeah. I mean, but, if they're going to play college ball, they can put that off. I mean, depends. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay. James F says, in the Yankees game, Michael K said, if a player gets hurt and not in a no-show in the All-Star game, they consider him in the All-Star game. Okay. Oh, so like, for example, if you're an All-Star caliber player, you've been voted in the All-Star game and you get injured and you can't show, they still consider you an All-Star.
That used to be, let me tell you something. When I was a kid, the Major League All-Star game was like, it's treated like a joke now, honestly. But back in the day, that was big news. Because here's the thing, right?
It matters. It determines who's got home field advantage in the World Series.
Okay, this is before that. It was just an exhibition. When I'm talking about just an exhibition, but you got to see the American League never played the National League, never ever, and you had some great players. And you got to remember, this is the dog days, right? And this is before the NFL became the juggernaut that it is now. But I mean, the NFL was weeks away from training camp. You had ice hockey was over. Basketball was over. All it was baseball. That was it. There were no other sports. And it was a big deal. I mean, it used to be big ratings too. I mean, it was super exciting. When I was a kid growing up, you couldn't wait to watch the All-Star game. The National League and the American League. It was fantastic.
Things have changed. That is for certain, Grump. Aaron G says, I have Aaron Judge in my fantasy baseball team. Oh, goodness. Meatball Parm says, good evening. What's up, Meatball Parm? Look at that juicy Meatball Parm right there, Grump. John M says, Grump, I'll pay you $50 to take Tua as your fantasy football quarterback.
Oh, God. Oh, maybe he's a backup, like he's my third guy.
Joseph C said, the Mets have two of the best catching prospects in baseball. Now with Alvarez and Parada can really rake.
You can never have too many pitchers and catchers, because let's say one of these guys, if you can hit as a catcher, ding, 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 you hit all the buttons. But what's another thing you do with the National League now having the designated hitter, which is a smart rule? If you can hit, you don't have to catch every day. Saves wear and tear in your body. Maybe they could just rotate them both in. I mean, I just think that's best case scenario. Of course, Parada's quite a ways off, and Alvarez is closer to knocking on the door.
Parada's 20 years old playing for Georgia Tech. I mean, what do you think? He's 2 years off?
Yeah.
Okay, quite a ways off. I mean, he's 1 to 2 years off. I mean, Francisco Alvarez in AAA ball, he's 20. I wouldn't say he's quite a ways off. He's probably closer than most.
Well, he won't be playing there this year. Even with the injuries they've had, he's not been called up.
I think he's going to be traded anyway.
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, okay. Would you sacrifice Alvarez for Juan Soto? I would.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the only thing I think about that. You're right. Young catchers and talented catchers do not grow on trees. It's as simple as that.
Not ones that can hit.
Was that?
Not ones that can hit.
Yeah.
I mean, but if Juan Soto was he's a generational talent.
Juan Soto hasn't had a great year this year.
I don't care. It's like him and everybody else.
It's a big issue. I'm just saying he hasn't had a great year this year.
Oh, okay.
Take it for what it is, right? He's not hitting 300. He's hitting 250.
Okay, what's his on base percentage though? 450. All he do is walk him. I mean, he walks all the time. His on base percentage is well over 400.
406.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
His on base percentage is as low as it's been since he was 20. Lowest has been as low as since 2019. This has not been a great year for him. At his standards, this has not been a great year for him.
2019 was his first year in the league, wasn't it?
2018. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he didn't play the whole. I'm just saying, the kid's fantastic. You're going to try to tell me that you wouldn't sacrifice somebody in AAA for a 23-year-old Juan Soto?
Juan Soto?
Yeah, and even Han Solo. Juan Soto, Han Solo, whoever. I mean, you would make that sacrifice? You're going to have to give a lot more than that kid to get him, too.
You're going to have to give up a lot. There's no doubt about it. I'll tell you is this.
To me, that's a no-brainer.
The guy hits well. He's a talented catcher. You can never have enough talented catchers. We have outfielders. You got Starling Marte. We've traded away pieces. You can acquire an outfielder every once in a while through free agency. Juan Soto's a great guy, great player, fantastic player. But I'm just, I don't know. Anytime you're giving up the second overall prospect, I'm like, shit. I would rather it be for a guy who's a real steady Eddie and doesn't have these up and down years. Right? Bryce Harper. He used to be Bryce Harper. Fantastic. I remember all the hype that was behind Bryce Harper years ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the MVP of the league. The
reigning MVP of the league. I remember that. And he has some years where he hits 230. Okay.
TJ would have held on to Alvarez if he could have got Babe Ruth in the deal. Well, that Babe Ruth kind of had a down year last year. Didn't hit 300. This kid might turn out to be something. He's in the minors. That Babe Ruth, he eats a shitload of hot dogs. So I don't know about that.
He's going to eat right through our freaking team budget.
I'm like, come on. He's probably, if he's not the best pure hitter in the game, he's top 5.
Okay, look, do you remember the hype that was around Bryce Harper when he won the MVP? Here's the thing. Juan Soto's never won an MVP, has he?
He's 23 years old. He's played, 3 years in the league?
Bryce Harper won the MVP when he was 22. What's your point?
I don't know.
I'm just saying there was so much hype around. Do you remember the hype that was around Bryce Harper? This unbelievable hype that was around Bryce Harper. Wins the MVP next year, he hits 243. You're at that 320, then 250, 260, 268. I'm just saying sometimes people buy in this unreal, unbelievable hype. And when you're playing in a small market like the Washington Nationals, it's not the same as a bigger market team. That's all I'm saying. And Philly's not a big market team either. But he's playing well this year. All I'm saying is I don't want to be caught overpaying for a guy who's on a down year like this early in his career. He's had a few good years, absolutely has, and a few great years. He's on a down year this year.
The Washington Nationals are not in a small market. They're not a small market team.
How do you think the Washington Nationals press and everything like that puts pressure on these? But not much, Grump. They're the freaking they have no expectations in the Washington Nationals right now.
Well, because they're not playing well this year. So when the Mets and Yankees are playing like dog shit, they're not in the
Yankees and the Mets are still the press are still grilling the living shit out of their players when they're not playing, when the team's not doing well. That's not how it is in Washington.
Okay, they're not a small market team. They're a big market. Washington, D.C. is a big market. That Washington, Maryland area, it's a big market.
Let me put you like this. I think that Juan Soto could dream of having as productive of a career as Bryce Harper has. Would you not argue against that? I mean, Bryce Harper was all that, and again, a much higher rated prospect too. Originally, when drafted, much higher rated when he came through the system as well as a prospect after being drafted by the Nationals. Unbelievably hyped. I think he could dream of having a career like that. And again, I'm not trying to get off target here. I'm just saying I don't want to see the Mets wildly overpaying for him.
I want the Mets trading for him. Give up whatever you got to do and makes your team so much better. You can't pitch around him. You know what they do? They just pitch around him in Washington. That's why he's 250 batting average. He's got nobody else to protect him.
Oh, he's got Josh Bell.
Josh Bell's having the year because they're walking Juan Soto and pitching around from him the whole time.
Did you just say Juan Solo again?
Probably. It doesn't matter.
Christ.
Han Solo, let me tell you something. Han Solo is the best player on that team. Josh Bell is benefiting from Han Solo hitting from. Chewbacca is even hitting above him. I mean, they're walking those guys to get to Bell.
All right. You might be dreaming a little bit on now. And again, Josh Bell's having a much better year than Juan.
You know what a loser of a Mets fan you are. I'm sorry.
How is that? How is that?
You would turn down a chance for Juan Soto because of a minor league catcher?
What are the options where Juan Soto has to go? What have you looked at the options or the speculation of where he's going to go?
Yeah.
Where, Grumpy?
The same cast of characters, right? Who are the teams with the money? You got the Dodgers, right? Tell me he doesn't fit in there. He fits anywhere, first of all. Anywhere. He's a top 3 outfielder in Major League Baseball, period. So I don't care who you have on your team, unless it's Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, and Henry Aaron, he's going to start. Just going to happen. Aaron Judge, you're going to DH.
Sit down. Aaron Judge is a much better player than Juan Soto. I can't believe you're saying
no,
that.
he's not. No, he's not.
Really?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Really?
not. No.
You've got to be shitting me.
Where was Aaron Judge when he was 23?
He was playing college.
Oh, there you go. So no. This kid is
Aaron Judge will always have more power to his bat than Juan Soto will.
This kid's
always.
This kid's a true 5-tool player. Aaron Judge is not. And I like Aaron Judge. He's not
Aaron
a 5-tool
player than this guy. Right
How
now,
old is Aaron Judge? 32?
Soto.
How old's Aaron Judge now? Well, he's in his 30s, isn't he?
No, he's 27, 28.
No, he's not. Absolutely not. You can look that up and embarrass yourself later. That's fine. As soon as we hear the crickets, when TJ finally looks it up, then you'll know I'm right.
He just turned 30. He just turned 30.
Yeah. So he's 30. Let me tell you something. If I was the Yankees, I'd give Aaron Judge straight up for Juan Soto. Straight up. Absolutely.
Why would Aaron Judge want to sign in Washington?
It doesn't matter. He's going to be a free agent.
He's an unrestricted free agent. Why would they trade for him for the end of this year? What type of nonsense are you thinking, man? He doesn't. You're going to have to do prospects. That's what Washington's looking for. Prospects, young guys.
Okay, but here's the thing. What I'm saying is, straight up, who's a better player? You think Judge is a better player than Soto? No.
At this point in time, yes. Aaron Judge is a better player than Juan Soto.
Nope. No way. Yeah, there you go. Look at him. He's ready. Yeah, here's the thing. I think the teams that are in the running for him, I think the Mets, the Yankees have wanted him for years. So have the Mets, the Dodgers, Texas Rangers, San Diego Padres. These are
Aaron Judge is on pace to hit maybe 60 home runs this year. And you're saying, Juan Soto is better than Aaron Judge right now. I know
Juan Soto's a better player than Aaron Judge.
I know Aaron Judge might be hitting 130 RBIs, maybe 55, 60 home runs.
Look at the team he's playing on.
Okay.
This kid doesn't even get a chance to swing the bat.
Juan Soto's never sniffed he's never going to even sniff 52 home runs in his career. He'll never come close to that. Doesn't matter if he's all the way at the peak of his career. He's never going to sniff 52 home runs ever in his career. The guy's a good batter. I'm just saying, for you to say that Juan Soto is playing better right now than Aaron Judge is a little blind.
I'm sorry. There's no way I'm not. You're about the only guy on the planet.
The Yankees are trying to win a damn pennant this year, Grump.
Yeah, I think Soto's
they're going to have to trade for him. They're giving up prospects, Grump. They're giving up Volpe. They're giving up a lot of young prospects. Are you willing to say, yeah, I'm willing to trade all 4 or 5 of our top prospects?
They're in it to win it. Period. They're in it to win it. Prospects are prospects until they're actually players. I can't tell you how many Yankee prospects have.
Well, here's the thing. They always overrate Yankee prospects.
Yeah. So in other words,
always. Yankee prospects historically just fall flat on their face.
That's right. This guy's a generational talent.
Mets prospects
established in the major leagues. This kid's established in the major leagues. Sorry. Any prospect, see you later. He's 23 years old. It's not like he's 30. or 35. He's 23. You could have him for the rest of his career. He'd be a freaking hero. They'd be selling Soto jerseys like they're going out of style.
They said the Rangers might be a team that's also interested. I'm just like, are the Rangers willing to cough up $500 million for a guy like Juan Soto?
They have money. Look what they did this offseason. They signed
Indian and Corey Seager. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are big signings.
500 million is a little different.
Well,
I don't see any of those. I don't know, Grump. I don't see the Rangers costing up 500 million. The Dodgers don't have a deep prospect pool. The Yanks have a guys
the Dodgers absolutely have a deep prospect pool. The Dodgers are loaded in the farm system, absolutely loaded. They're probably the best match for what Washington does. The Dodgers have probably one of the deepest prospect pools. They have everything, pitching, outfield. They just plug and play guys. Matter of fact, their guys, they have so many guys that are good that they can't even get them in the lineup. Why do you think they're able to make the trades they make for Scherzer or for Trey Turner?
They've got six prospects in the top 100. I wouldn't necessarily call that unbelievably deep.
Okay, look who they just moved in the last year.
Oh, hold on. We're not talking about what the prospect pool used to be. I'm talking about where his destination could be, my friend.
Okay, so you have 6 out of 100, right? There's 32 teams in the league. The most you just have is 3, maybe 4. They have 6, and that's after moving all those guys. They know how to draft and develop prospects. I'm not a Dodgers fan. They absolutely know how to develop prospects.
I just think that the asking price on Juan Soto is going to be unbelievably high after a year. And he's a good ball player, but after a year, he's
a great ball player. He's a great ball player, not a good one. Great.
Where do you think he's going to finish when all is said and done?
I don't know. Really, really good Hall of Fame type career.
I'm not saying that just to piss me off, but I don't know, man. You might be overselling him just a tiny bit.
I'm just saying.
Last year came when he was 2019. That was his best year. At least you're talking about power wise. I don't know. Let's say that Aaron Judge is not as good as Juan Soto right now. I don't know. You're leaving me scratching my head, Grump. I'm not saying Juan Soto wouldn't be good on the Yankees. I'm not saying he wouldn't be good for the Mets. Just saying I'm taking the known quantity over the guy who's had one really good year, a few good years, or let's say one great year and 2 really good years, and this year's been a year.
Look at the team he plays on. I mean, I'm just kind of baffled. I don't know. I mean, he's walked already 80 times this year. 80 times.
Yeah, 79 times. Yep.
Okay, that's a lot of walks. I mean, he walks a lot. You wonder why they just pitch around him. Last year was 145 walks. That's like Barry Bonds. That's like Barry Bonds when he was playing.
You're this kid to Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds was getting walked 150, 160 times every single year.
Do not even mention this kid in the same breath.
I'm just saying the amount of times that he walks. That's all I'm saying. Those are Barry Bonds walk numbers. Barry Bonds was walked all the time. And you don't want Barry Bonds? Well, check. He only won 7 MVPs. We don't want him.
Barry Bonds led the MLB in walks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of the 22-year career he had, he led the MLB in walks.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. Barry Bonds had years where he was walked 232 times. Just don't mention him. Come on.
I'm just saying you're freaking delusional because Juan Soto, considering his age, there's no way anyone who even knows who's ever held a bat in his hands or thrown a baseball would take Aaron Judge over Juan Soto. Just won't happen. No one with the brain would say that. So that's why I know what
I like my pitchers to be damn good. I like my pitchers to keep the runners off the bags, Grump, and I want my batters to knock in runs. And that's something that Aaron Judge does extremely well.
You can't pitch around him because that lineup is loaded. If you put Aaron Judge on the Washington Nationals and Juan Soto on the New York Yankees, you'd see an exact flip-flop. Judge would be getting walked all the time. His numbers would be low. Why? Because you got to chase pitches out of the zone because he wants to hit so bad. And Juan Soto would just be raking. He'd probably have 50 home runs by now.
Let's talk about really young guys who played really well and people buy into the hype way too early. And you kind of like, can they fizzle out? Francesco Lindor is another perfect example of a young guy who started off really hot, kind of find the holes in your swing, kind of changed up a swing a bit, and he's never been the same guy. Francisco Lindor, when he was coming up, when he was 22, 23 years old, hitting 300, knocking in 33, 38 home runs, leading the MLB in runs scored. Now he's a guy who hits like 250. I don't know, Grump. You just have to be really careful when you can't just say, "Oh yeah, let's just throw everything at him." Well, I guess for the Yankees, where every single one of their players they're overrated. I feel like their young prospects are. You see so many of those Yanks that fail. I mean, if I'm the Yankees, I guess I hand anything over because the likelihood of them panning out is pretty low.
I would. And here's the thing: if they wanted Aaron Judge, take him. Bye-bye. See you later. 30 years old. He's 30.
He's got at least 4 or 5 more really solid, productive years in the MLB.
This kid's got a minimum of 15. This kid's got 10,
15. Bringing him till when he's 38 years old.
I'll say 10, 12.
Okay. His pinnacle won't be as high as Judge's, though. So
if he played for the Yankees, it would be.
Jesus Christ.
Left-hander with that short porch? You got to be kidding me. Tailor-made for Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, gracious. Yeah, I've heard that also too about Trevor.
He's really good. I don't think you've ever watched him play.
I have watched him. I'm a Mets fan. I've watched him play. I've watched him play a lot of times. I'm saying he's a really good player. I'm just saying you might want to be a little bit more reserved with what you're willing to.
Why don't you go work for the New York Islanders front office? Afraid to make a trade. Afraid to be great.
Make a trade. Be frugal. Be smart. Be frugal and smart.
Sit on your hands. You got time. Let's use it. Somebody else is going to make that deal.
James
the Mets just jump all over him.
I meant they considered Matt Carpenter to be considered in the All-Star game. Ooh, what do you think about that?
No, absolutely not. How many at-bats has he even had this year? And he's been really, really good when he's played.
He's had 79 at-bats and 13 home runs.
Yeah.
The fact that moron Aaron Boone hasn't played him more is freaking criminal.
Okay,
criminal.
He wasn't signed until like a third of the way into the season. And then he was splitting time with Gallo. Now he's an everyday player.
Did he ever split time with that freaking hack Gallo? The only thing Gallo did was earn himself a golden sombrero every night.
But he hadn't played in how long? He was spot starting
last year for the Cardinals, 130 games.
But what did he do? He had the two of them play off. Carpenter won the job. Carpenter plays every game. I mean, isn't that what you want? I mean, I don't know what you're complaining about. I mean, he's doing great. He's on your fantasy team that's beating the shit out of mine this week because of that one guy.
Hey, what happens when you're a smart owner, Grump?
7 RBIs yesterday.
He had 3 today. I tell you, Matt Carpenter is well on his way, man. He's on a tear, Grump, an absolute tear.
Here's the thing.
I'm sorry. He's had 90, or I think he's had 92 at-bats this year.
Okay, here's the thing.
75 at-bats after
Matt Carpenter's a career 240 hitter. He's not going to hit 400 the whole year. He's going to cool off.
He's 264.
Okay, but I'm talking in recent years. Last 4 or 5 years, what's his average been? 220, 230. I mean, not great. He's not been great. I mean, kudos to him, and he's benefiting playing in that lineup.
He definitely does. He bats towards the bottom of the lineup too.
But the whole thing is like, okay, you got to pitch to somebody. It's going to be the 7, 8, 9 guys, and he's on fire right now. Kudos to him.
Your thought process, Giancarlo Stanton should be belting him out of the park every single night because you can't pitch around everybody. You got to match up. But Giancarlo Stanton's having an underwhelming season this year. So just because you play on a stacked team doesn't mean you're guaranteed good results because they can't pitch around you. I mean, the onus comes on the player.
Okay, if you're a pitcher, who are you more afraid to pitch to, Stanton or Carpenter?
I'm more afraid to pitch to Aaron Judge.
It wasn't an option. Judge hits at the top of the order. I'm talking.
Giancarlo Stanton hits at the top of the order.
He hits like 4 or 5.
Fourth is at the top of the order.
Judge hits second. This kid hits 7. Who would you rather pitch to? If you had your druthers to pitch to, Matt Carpenter or Giancarlo Stanton, who would you pitch to? And Matt Carpenter absolutely benefiting from playing in Yankee Stadium with that left-handed swing. Absolutely.
He does.
I mean, good for him. 36 years old, career resurgence. Good for him. After next Sunday, I'm rooting for him. I'm not rooting for him next week, though.
Oh my
This
God.
All-Star break's going to cool his ass down.
I hope
That's
not.
the one thing you hate as a player. And I'm just anybody who's on a burner like this or in heater like this. The last thing you want is 4 days off. I mean, you want to play every single day.
Let me ask you this. You say how, the left field obviously helps out all these batters, like helps out Matt Carpenter. Why is it not
Right
helped
field.
out Joey Gallo? I'm sorry, right field. Why is it not helped out Joey Gallo?
Because
Both lefties play bat.
Joey Gallo's been the same player he's always been. This Joey Gallo right now is exactly what he's always been, and it's hurting him. Just like that short right field porch hurt Jason Giambi. When Giambi played for the Oakland A's, he hit the ball to all fields. He was a gap hitter who hit a lot of home runs. He came to Yankee Stadium, sees the short porch, starts swinging for it. That was Joey Gallo all over. Now he's like, he thinks he's a freaking softball player where, he's just the big uppercut swing trying to hit it to right field. I mean, I've never been a fan of Joey Gallo. I hated that deal last year. They need to move him off the team.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Juan Soto is not a good replacement for him. He's not a good outfielder replacing. Andrew L. says here, the Nationals already have their catcher, Kybert Ruiz, from the Trey Turner and Max Scherzer deal with the Dodgers.
Yeah, so maybe they don't need a catcher. But here's the thing. I bet they would trade for him. You can never have too many good catchers. You can always take a catcher, put him at first, not always, but you can put him at first base or at third base. I mean, you got to have good hands to be a catcher. If you can move a little bit, it doesn't hurt you too much at first or at third. You don't got to cover a whole lot of distance. I mean, they also have the DH, which is a big advantage to the National League teams, where that would hurt them in the past.
Joseph C. said, I would drive Alvarez to the airport for Juan Soto, but I don't see the Nationals trading him in the division. And I love Alvarez.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to give to get.
I'd like, McCann's not going to be there forever.
So what? You got Juan Soto. You'd have Juan Soto in your lineup. James McCann isn't any great shakes. He's a good. You know what? What's the number one job of a catcher? Number one job.
Defensively sound.
Manage the pitching staff.
Yep.
Veterans are better at that than younger ball players. They just are.
Fair enough, Grump. Aaron G says, by the last year, by the way, last year was my first time playing anything fantasy. It was football. I won that league. By the way, and explain my profile picture, he says. Andrew L. says the Nationals could have anyone but Alvarez and Batty.
Shit.
Yeah. Those are our top two prospects. They're definitely want one. They're going to want one or two, if not more. They're going to want that plus.
Yeah,
so
here's the thing, Andrew. If you want to get a big fish like that, you probably got to give them both up. And guess what? You do it because he's not 30 years old. He's 23. All his best ball is ahead of him. To me, that's a no-brainer.
Or maybe he's a guy who plateaus. There's a lot of players like that who start off the gate really great when they're young and they just go, and he just plateau.
Delusional.
What? You acting like it doesn't happen all the time in the league. What do you mean?
It's not with this kid. It's not happening.
Oh, because he's different than guys like Bryce Harper. He's different than everybody else out there.
Bryce Harper won MVP last year. What do you mean? He's plateauing.
Bryce Harper had 3 years where he hit like 240.
Well, that happens sometimes.
Oh, 3 years in a row. No worries. Just, for a big chunk right there in a prime portion of your career, 3 years where you're hitting like 240. Don't worry about it, Bryce. You'll come at it next year and be better.
What? If his career plateaus as league MVP, I think you're doing pretty good.
No.
That's pretty good.
Not that it plateaued at league MVP, but as I said, Juan Soto would be lucky to have a career as successful as Bryce Harper's. Lucky.
You're crazy. You're insane.
You think Juan Soto should have a better career than Bryce Harper?
You know nothing about the game of baseball.
You think Juan Soto's going to have a more productive career than Bryce Harper?
Say this again.
Do you think Juan Soto is going to have a more productive year or more productive career, let's say career, than Bryce Harper?
Yes. Because he's a better natural hitter. Yes, absolutely. Yes, when all is said and done. How old is Bryce Harper now?
He's going to be close to his 30s or in his 30s, isn't he?
Yeah. This kid's 23. He's already putting up big numbers at 23.
Okay, again, we've gone over that. Harper won the MVP at 23 years old. So you can just cross that off. Anyway, I'm just saying Bryce Harper, I think he's had trying to match what Bryce. I'm sorry, Bryce Harper's only 29 years old right now. But
Okay.
trying to match what Bryce Harper's done in his already young career, I just don't think he can do this. I mean, it's a lot. It's a tough ask.
Juan
Bryce Harper
Soto,
made well. Go ahead, Grump.
Juan Soto. This is going to be they're going to get boatloads for him. They are.
That's it.
I had to sneeze. Sorry.
Okay, I'm not looking at you. I'm bouncing a whole bunch of screens.
They're going to get an arm and a leg for that kid, and they should. They should.
It's a lot to be giving up an arm and a leg than having to sign him to this huge, massive contract.
Why?
You should have some leverage if you're one of these teams, because he obviously doesn't want to sign with the Washington Nationals, and the Washington Nationals aren't willing to pay him $500 million.
You're insane. You're insane. You're crazy. You're crazy. I don't even know how to deal with a maniac like you, honestly. You're
John
so insane.
Says Grump, you have to start Tua 12 weeks out of the season pending his health status for $100. Shit, man, I'll tell you one thing. You could wait to draft your quarterback until like the last overall selection, and then you could go ahead and just fill up with great running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and then go ahead and get yourself another quarterback. So he'll be the last pick on your team, so you'll have a little bit of a better QB that you can go ahead and start towards the tail end in playoff time.
He will be overdrafted this year, though. He absolutely will be overdrafted, because they're looking at the new coach, the offensive coach, Mike McDaniel's coming into Miami. They see Tyreek Hill there. They see all the things they've done for the offense. He will get overdrafted this year, more than his talent level should dictate. He'll be, because usually you could get Tua. I mean, he was never a starter. He was like a backup. This year, he'll be drafted within the first 12 picks, I think. First 12 quarterback picks.
Okay, gotcha. I said first 12 picks? Jesus
Quarterback
Christ.
picks. He's going to be looked at as a starter this year. He is.
Okay, Grump. Andrew L.
And supposedly he's going to throw for like 34 touchdowns or 35 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and 4,500 yards, I've heard from others.
Grumpy playing. Andrew L. said, I'd say Philly is a bigger market than Washington Nationals. Washington's not a big market, man. And here's maybe he wants to play in a big market. I don't know. Texas is not a big market for baseball either. The Rangers aren't a huge market. I'm not saying they haven't had good teams in the past, but not a big market. James F. said, would you guys give up a 15-year, $450 million contract? I wouldn't.
He's a generational talent. I would absolutely give that up for him. Generational talent. I don't know. Oh, you still on TJ? Okay.
Yeah,
your screen was black.
Here, Grumpy. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying, for a guy who's not having a great year this year, it's a lot.
Babe Ruth had one down year too. No, I could trade. The Red Sox said, the Yankees said, you know what? Yeah, I know that Babe Ruth. He did pretty good last year, but all we have to do is give up, $100,000 for him? Nah, we're going to keep that in our pocket. We're not going to do that. We don't want to risk that money because, he had a down year last year.
Did Babe Ruth have a down year? Do you mind telling me? Because I've got a stats pull up.
I couldn't tell you the exact year. There was one year where he was down compared to other ones in the middle of his career. He had down numbers for him anyway. People saying, oh, he's done, whatever. I think it was a contract dispute, but we wouldn't trade for him. We don't care about all those other things.
Okay. Once he turned 22, he never batted under 290 ever. Okay, I'm not sure what year he had a bad year, babe. Right? Real talented players don't have down years like that where they say, well, sometimes I'm hitting 250 and 240.
For his career, he hit 342, so 290 sucks for him. His career average was 242.
290.
So if he's hitting 290, that's a bad year for him. That's a bad year for him, right?
I use this as a barometer of how he's still probably one of the best batters out there in the league, hitting 290 still, Grump.
All I'm saying was that's a down year. Well, what, man? When I could take a risk on that.
He's only won one MVP. Think about that. Babe Ruth only won one MVP. Let that shit sink in. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Who's only won one MVP?
Babe Ruth.
He won more than one.
He won one MVP. He won one MVP back in 1923. The only time he ever won MVP. I cannot believe that.
I don't believe
I've never actually looked at that before to look at his accolades. I mean, like, whatever, I guess. But here it is, Grump. I'll show you. The Great Bambino.
Okay, his name wasn't. Fuck. Great Bambino.
What, Grump?
What was his name? Is it the Great Bambino?
What?
What was his nickname?
The Great Bambino. Are you deaf?
The Sultan of SWAT was one of them. And I think it was just Bambino, not the Great Bambino, was it?
Yeah, it was the Great Bambino. What are you talking about?
The Bambino, not the Great Bambino.
The Great Bambino, damn it. That's
I'm
what
like,
I'm calling him.
stop adding things.
Anyway, MVP only once. Just think about that. I had no idea only one MVP for Babe Ruth. I'm sorry. We've gotten way off track. Meepo Parm says the Nationals could have any one of our minor league players.
Anyone, not anyone with underline just one. Any one of our minor leaguers for Juan Soto.
And he's end of story. Frank says Grumpy Old Man Judge is playing center field, and he's really good.
Okay, he's not a great defensive center fielder. He's not.
He's a better batter than Juan Soto will ever be.
Oh, you're crazy.
What are you going ugh for? Ugh.
You're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy.
You think Juan Soto is a better batter than Aaron Judge?
Yes. 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 Way better.
Please, somebody give
way better. Way better. Way better. Aaron Judge is all power. He's a power guy. Do I want Aaron Judge up there if I need to just move a guy along or just get the ball in play? Nope. I want Juan Soto. Juan Soto is he's a generational talent. You just
I don't know who the hell Juan Soto is, but I do know a guy named Juan Solo.
It's Han Solo.
Grumpy is a certified Aaron Judge hater. That's what it sounds like.
Not true. Not true.
That's an awful lot what it sounds like. Give him away. I don't care. He's 30 years old. He's towards
I said if it's Juan Soto for Aaron Judge, the Yankees would jump all over that. They jump all over that.
Just do that.
Why? I'm just saying the Yankees would do that, which should tell you all you need to know. The Yankees would be all over that deal, all over it. 23-year-old gonna be an MVP candidate without a doubt. When he goes to another team,
look at your ass. Oh.
If you put him on the Dodgers, another team that's loaded with talent, they'd be unstoppable. He gets pitched around at Washington. He just gets pitched around.
Think he's better than Mookie Betts, Grump?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mookie Betts isn't having a great year this year.
He's not. He got injured, and he hasn't been the same since coming back from his injury. Has not.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I think by the end of the year, he'll heat up again. That's what good players do. Up and down.
Frank saying Aaron Judge way better. Adriel said Aaron Judge plays in the Bandbox Stadium. Bandbox Stadium. Look at their players' stats on that team.
It's a home run. It's a home run alley.
Mm-hmm. Just as he said, Soto is better than Judge, but Judge is having a better season this year.
That's true. That's true. You got to look long term, though.
Says Frank. He wouldn't give up Volpe.
Oh, my God. Stop falling in love with the prospects. Please stop.
And the fact that Aaron Judge plays center field for his size is amazing. When you're that big, that makes it way harder.
Those guys don't last forever either. Certainly not in baseball.
The Yanks don't need Juan Soto.
When has that ever stopped the Yankees from making an acquisition?
I don't think it ever has.
Why do they sign Giancarlo Stanton? Or maybe why'd they make that deal for him? I mean, I'm like, they didn't need him. I don't think they've ever needed him.
Andrew L says taking Judge over Soto is the worst take I'd ever heard.
It's true.
Who's going to help you win this year? Who's helping you win the pennant this year? Sure as shit's not Juan Soto. Aaron Judge is. Aaron Judge is going to be in contention there to win an MVP, girl.
If Juan Soto goes to the Yankees, there's no drop off from their production. None. He's better.
Juan Soto's going to be able to replicate the year that Aaron Judge is having this year.
Playing for the Yankees? Absolutely.
Oh.
Playing for the Yankees with the rest of those batters in that lineup? Yes. Yes, he'd take off in the second half. The only reason he's not producing this year is because he's playing with that terrible lineup, and they're just walking him all the time. Walk, 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 walk. Waka, waka, waka.
Grumpy. Alexander says, "Hey guys, I'm late this evening, but just got back with the kids and my wife from the water park. I apologize, guys, for missing the part of the show where you guys are my second family. Thanks, Alexander. No worries. Hope you enjoyed that water park. Soto will never come close to 60 home runs. That's right, Frank. Not even close. Joseph C said, "Come on, TJ. Soto's career OPS on base plus slugging is a 968. Judges 945. The only guy who has on base skills like Soto is Trout.
And he's 23. He's just going to be getting better. He's not on the tail. He's not going to be declining. He's going to be getting better. His career is on the ascension. Like a rocket. Aaron Judge.
Is that what you think for him? You go explosion? I don't know. I know that. Here's the thing. I know Juan Soto gets a lot of credit for the on-base skills, but he doesn't steal a whole lot of bases, which always kind of like, usually they correlate. If you're good on base, you're good at base running, you steal bases. You've got good jump, you can go ahead and steal seconds.
But he has the speed.
He's never stolen more than 12 bases in a year.
But that doesn't mean he's not fast. Maybe they want to run
9 stolen bases, caught stealing 7 times. That doesn't sound like great on base skills to me.
Maybe they're hitting runs that he gets thrown out on.
If Juan Soto, you got me saying Juan Soto now. If Juan Soto is stealing bases like Jose Reyes, yeah, he's got on base skills. 5 stolen bases this year, caught stealing twice. That doesn't strike me as, hey, man, he's nabbing bases left and right.
You realize he's a 5-tool player. It means he has speed. It has nothing to do with stealing bases. It means he has speed as part of his element. I don't even, like I said, it's like I'm dealing with the moron over here today.
Jesus Christ. I've got a guy saying he'd rather take Juan Soto this year over Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge is projected. He's on pace to hit over 60 homers.
He's not going to hit over 60 homers.
He's on pace. I said on pace to hit over 60 homers, on pace to hit over 140 RBIs, and on pace to have over 130 runs.
I'm not saying that he's not having a great year. I didn't say he wasn't having a great year. What I am saying is that I know the Yankees would absolutely 1-for-1, Soto for Judge. Where do I sign? And I'm the same thing. He's 23 and he's phenomenal. He's a generational talent, and he will be better when everything is said and done than Aaron Judge. Way better. You look at his numbers at the end of his career, they won't even compare. Soto's going to have much higher numbers than Aaron Judge. I'm not belittling Aaron Judge. I'm not. What I'm saying is this kid's better than Aaron Judge. I mean, you're not making a deal like this for this season. This is something that sets your table for years and years to come. I mean, they have to pay Judge now. Judge is criminally underpaid. Let's be honest.
Yes. Alexander says the Mets need to go all in on Soto. If the Mets get him, then World Series favorites. Favorites also, the Mets just drafted a catcher. Yep, they did just go ahead and draft Parada. And just makes you think that they're going to trade Alvarez to get Soto. That's what I said too. I mean, Parada was projected to be one of those guys at 5 or 6, via where the pre-rankings. But again, MLB is one of those to where you're drafting all over the place. Kamar Rocker, Grumpy, got drafted 3rd overall after really not playing this season.
Well, that was the guy who was the Mets drafted number 10, I think it was last year, wasn't it?
10 or 11 last year. I can't remember where it was.
And they were going to
decided not. I thought it was a great signing, a great pick at the time period, and they wound up not signing him
because they didn't like his medicals. And this year he goes at number 3 to the Texas Rangers. I mean, and that second pick was the little 5'8" guy that they got. That was the pick that they got because they didn't sign Kamar. I hope it works out for him. I do. Vanderbilt.
I'm sorry, you kind of went in and out there.
That little sandwich pick that they got, the shortstop, the 5'8" kid.
Okay.
That's what they got for not signing him last year.
Sandwich pick. What the hell is wrong with you?
That's what they call them. The ones at the end of the draft, the ones at the end of the first round.
In 14th overall. It was 14th overall. So.
Okay. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about then.
I think it goes based off of like where you'd picked or where the guy was originally selected that didn't sign with you or that you didn't sign. I think so. It has to do more with that than anything else.
Okay.
Frank says, but Who cares? We're trying to figure out where Soto is going. That's what I want to know. Whoever gets him will pay out the ass. They will.
True. San Diego says they're hot for him. They want to team him with Tatis Jr. I mean, talk about a 1-2 punch in that lineup. Ooh, with Machado in there.
Yeah, Machado's another one of those guys too that unbelievable. I mean, Machado's been good. He's had years ups and downs. I mean, it's just baseball players in general. Jesse B says, "Hey, TJ Grump, do you watch IndyCar? If so, what do you think of Alex Palow's drama? Love to hear your take on it." Grump, are you familiar with Alex Palou?
I am not familiar with the drama going on. I just watched the Indianapolis 500. It's the only race I ever watch. And I used to watch him more as a kid. Now it's like I don't follow it much. Ever since they had that split with the Indy group and something else, they lost a lot of drivers. Like, I kind of lost interest. So I can't tell you anything about Alex Palou.
Let me see here. He's on the news, but I can't say I'm too familiar. But let's read this and have a knee-jerk reaction as we're both unfamiliar with it. If you give us, Jesse, like a little tiny caption of what's going on too, that would also help, because we're going to try reading through this and trying to gather some sort of semblance from it.
He's got a contract dispute with Chip Ganassi Racing. Okay.
So he's not going to race.
Well, I don't know how that helps him.
Services for 2023. Paulo mostly deflected questions about his future while wearing a brave face about the present. 100%. Paulo told NBC Sports Dave Burns when asked if the number 10 car or the number 10 team will remain focused on winning its second consecutive title over the final 8 races. Obviously, why not? It's not ideal, especially for my crew and the people around me. But for myself, it's all right. I'm a warrior. So this is not going to stop me. If people think that it's going to affect me on the track or something, they don't know who I am. It's all good. It's all good with the crew as well. Everybody's supporting us, and we have the same target for the season. Okay, a whole bunch of speak.
Can I ask you a question? Now, here's the thing. It's going to sign that I'm kind of coming down or bagging on race car drivers. When you're thinking about a race car driver, you think about when he's a warrior as a race car driver.
Grumpy, that's not nice. Those people die. I don't know. That type of stuff moves quick. Have you ever sat in one of those cars? Have you ever done like the simulations of how quick those things move, man? Especially,
again, I'm not trying to sound critical, but when I think of warriors, I mean, he just drives a car. I do that too. I mean, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Okay, but when you say you're a warrior, that's like, okay, I consider like guys who are in contact sports, and car racing could be a contact sport, but I think it's more dependent on. I just don't think the term warrior when I think race car driver. That's all. Even Earnhardt.
My inside sources say that Lou transitioned from prunes to dates.
Oh,
says or Grumpy could be Brian Cashman and find Jose Trevino's instead of drafting catchers.
Yeah, and Trevino is exactly what the Yankees need in a catcher. Exactly what they need. Just
Alexander a guy.
He splits time with I don't know the kid. I don't know the other Kyle something. They split time at the catcher position. I mean, Trevino even made the All-Star game with limited plate appearances. But what does he do well? He's really good behind the plate, has some timely hitting, puts the bat on the ball. I mean, that's all you need from that position. Certainly all the Yankees need.
Okay, Grump. Got another comment here from Alexander. The Nationals see the Mets as a potential fit for Soto. Bryce Harper won the MVP also. Won the MVP in
at 22.
He won. Or maybe it had to be the 2021 season because we're in 2022. Will be this year.
He won when he was 22 years old.
Okay, won at 22 years old. Those big contracts never work out in the end. Yes, that's correct. They never do. Look at the Francesco Lindor contract. Is that working out for the Mets? If you look at his production for the dollars you spend, absolutely not.
This kid's better than Francesco Lindor.
if they signed this contract when Francisco Lindor was 23 years old, you'd be saying the same shit about Francisco Lindor that you're saying about Juan Soto today. Same thing. Look at his production at 23 years old. Francisco Lindor was lighting the world on fire as a shortstop.
He was not lighting the world on fire. He had one good year in Cleveland. One good year. One really good year. This kid is special. Francisco Lindor isn't special. I don't dislike him. I think he's been really good for the Mets this year.
Hit 240 something.
But look at the numbers he's producing. He's knocking in runs. I don't give a shit. If there's nobody on base, I care less if he doesn't get on base.
Francisco Lindor, his last 3 years in Cleveland, 273, 277, 284. Each one of those years, 33 homers, 38 homers, 32 homers. Again, 99 runs, 129 runs, 101 runs. Again, he's getting himself, decent stolen bases, 15, 25, 22, RBIs of 89, 92, 74. I mean, every single year he had won. The last year in Cleveland, he struggled on a down year. And with the Mets, he's had miserable years for the Mets the last 2 years. 230 last year, and he's hitting 245 now.
What was his last year in Cleveland?
He hit 258.
258. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't hit so well. And that was during a shortened season. That was during the COVID year. So people attributed his struggles up to COVID.
No, that was pre-COVID. That was pre-COVID. Bullshit.
That was the year of 2020, his last year in Cleveland. You're wrong.
That was no. That was pre-COVID. The first COVID year that affected was last year.
He played the most games he could have in 2020, which was 60 games. He hit last year in Cleveland, 258.
Okay, so how many home runs does he have now?
16.
16 midway through the
45.
season. Okay, so it looks like he's kind of on pace for getting 30 and over 100 RBIs this year. And you're complaining about that.
Hitting 240, Grump.
And look at his on-base percentage. Seems like he's walking more. He's getting on base more often.
No, he's not. Look at earlier on. Okay, look at when he was playing higher every year, every single year in Cleveland. I'm just saying he's never gonna earn that contract.
I don't think he's gonna earn that contract either.
Is what they were. If you traded for him at the age of 25 years old, 22, 23, when he was around that age, when he was killing it, all-star, fantastic, he's great. He's one of the futures of the MLB. And then he had that down year, and you're like, oh, wait a second, he's had 2 down years for the Mets too. Oh, maybe he's just not as good as we thought he was.
Okay, why did the Mets give him that big deal? Why? They were trying.
His struggles were attributed to COVID as well.
They had to justify. You could not make that trade and not sign him. Could not happen. So they overpaid for him, and that was part of them. Remember how bad the Mets were then? Coming off of when they won in 2015, they came in. They lost to the Royals, and all of a sudden they were on their downward spiral. This was the Renaissance guy, right? And here's the thing: he's not going to live up to that contract. He will not. But I think this year he's played really well for them. I don't know. I think he's done really well for them.
Okay. Alexander says here, TJ, you are blinded if you don't think that Soto is going to have a better career than Bryce Harper. Shit.
Or Judge, both of them.
Soto's got to win at least 2 MVPs. And here's the thing. If Bryce Harper didn't get injured this year, he would have probably won the NL MVP.
Oh, stop.
What?
Stop.
What?
He played what, 50 games? So you're giving him what? The half season MVP? Is that what you're going to give him?
I said if he didn't get injured this year, he probably would have won another MVP.
You have no idea. You have no idea. You can't give. I'm going to tell you again. Sparky Lyle said he went from Cy Young to Sayonara in 6 months. And that's the way it was. Because you could be great one year and not so great the next year.
He played 64 games this year. Had 318, 15 home runs through 64 games. He had 48 RBIs and 49 runs. He, again, another guy that was on pace to have over 110 RBIs, over 110 runs, and on track to hit himself, 40 homers with a 320 batting average. That's pretty damn good. That puts you in contention to winning MVP. Not saying it automatically wins you, but it puts you in contention, Grump.
Let's say 315 batting average. You're going to give him a 6-point jump in the second half of the season? Okay. It doesn't matter. He's not winning MVP this year. You could try it. That's a popular TJ trick, too. Guy played a week. He was great. Oh, he would have won MVP. Look, he was so great for a week. Stop.
Christ almighty.
Crazy.
John M. said, Grump, how did TJ make it past 17? Some of these discussions are priceless. Sounds like me talking to my 14-year-old son about sports sometimes.
That's what it's like. It's like
Christ
that.
almighty.
It was
TJ,
worth.
it's baseball. Every player has some amount of failure. Not every season is an MVP type of season. That's correct.
Thank you. Andrew's smart.
Alexander says TJ Soto's a generational talent. I hate when they do that. I don't think shit. It's really early to be saying this
player.
It's really early to be saying this guy's a generational talent. Really early. I only you look at the people I put in generational talent. There's one I can think of in recent memory. Mike Trout. And maybe Shohei Ohtani, just because he pitches and he hits the way at the caliber he does. Those are the only two guys I put in generational talent conversation right now that are batters. Both play on the same damn team, and that team is just miserable, which is always the funny part about it.
Yeah. Juan Soto is generation talent. That's what
oh, Jesus. You heard it here first. Grumpy old man. Joseph C. said, Soto was better from ages 19 to 23 than Harper was at those same ages. Was Harper not
overall? Overall, yes. I remember when Bryce Harper played down here when he was playing, he was playing at Kannapolis for some minor league games. He was just striking out all the damn time. But you could tell he had talent, though. You could tell the kid had talent.
Frank says, I hope he isn't like Gary Sanchez.
And the thing about Gary Sanchez was the Yankees really dropped the ball on that when they fired Joe Girardi. Sanchez has never been the same player he was when Girardi was there. That was the best he ever played. And they fired him because he was too, he didn't know how to communicate with the younger players.
Drew L says in snake drafts, Tua is projected to go undrafted. It depends how many teams are in the league.
I can't believe that.
Frank says he got that big contract and then became lazy. Think about all the Yankees catching prospects that were so highly regarded. Every single one of them flopped out. The only ones I know there's more than Jesus Montero and Gary Sanchez. There was a million more of them, but I just know those are the two that stick out the most to me.
Yeah. But Montero was the big one. Man, we're never moving him. I remember Cliff Lee. They wanted Cliff Lee for years and years. The pitcher played for the Indians and then for the Phillies. And the Yankees wanted him we couldn't give up Jesus Montero. That's going to stop that deal. And Cliff Lee
they trade him later on, and what did they get in return for trading Jesus Montero?
Nothing. Virtually nothing. He went to Seattle.
Did he get Michael Pineda for him? I'm trying to remember.
No, he went to Seattle.
Michael Pineda used to play for Seattle. I'm not sure if they were traded or free agent.
No.
Jesus Montero went for Michael Pineda. Get out of here, Grump. I had a feeling that was the case.
Okay. You could have had Cliff Lee, who was lights out when he was with Cleveland and then with Philadelphia.
Michael Pineda. I thought it was. Michael Pineda, the injuries hurt him.
Yeah.
Think too much about that. Amari Productions says, what up? What's up, Amari Productions? Joseph C. said, Alexander all excited about Tua's noodle arm. That's where that 35 touchdowns, 6 interception prediction came from, right, Grumpy? Oh,
yes. I think it was 34 and 6 and 40.
I say, if he doesn't have 34 touchdowns this year, chalk this one up as a L for Tua. If he has more than 34, congratulations. He's exceeded my expectations.
Okay.
17 games, I want 2 touchdowns a game, 2 passing touchdowns a game with that wide receiving core. Alexander says, TJ, if the Mets make this trade, it will be the biggest trade since we got Piazza. And Piazza had a down year before he came to the Mets.
Yeah, we should have held on to those prospects instead of picking up Mike Piazza. I remember that trade.
I couldn't tell you how Mike Piazza played before he was traded at that time period. Man, we're going to the way back machine. Remember
he was moved from the Dodgers to the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
And I think he was only there for like a week.
Yep, 5 games.
And then the Mets traded for him. And the Mets gave up a bunch of prospects. But like I said, I bet you couldn't even name who are the prospects they gave up. I know you must have that information.
I'll pull it up in a sec. He was hitting 282 that year.
What was he doing before that? He's hitting like a 340 every year, 330 when he was with the Dodgers.
With the Mets, he was a guy who was always hitting around the 280 mark.
When he was with the Dodgers, he hit much better.
Yeah,
he put up better numbers with the Dodgers.
He's probably a generational talent. I'd put Piazza in that category.
He couldn't run, couldn't throw, Couldn't
Juan
catch.
Soto has freaking 9 stolen bases a year on average, Grump.
I'm talking about
So they
speed.
can't run either,
Listen to me.
okay?
Listen to me. 5-tool player. Soto is a 5-tool player. Piazza was not.
Shit. Man, you're overhyping his speed an awful lot then. If you think not 5 to 9 stolen bases a year is
Okay, that has
player.
nothing to do with speed. Has nothing to do with speed. It means you can
You
run.
be able to get a good jump, and the speed is what allows you to steal the base. It's
Maybe
the
they don't want
combination-
him running. Maybe they don't want him stealing
Oh,
bases.
they don't want him stealing bases. Why does he get thrown out about half the time he's trying to steal? What are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
Grumpy, you're killing me. Andrew L said, Soto is an unbelievable player. If you've played baseball and watched Soto, you don't need stats to tell you how good of a baseball player he is.
Okay,
He is all and takes as the human eyes.
that's right. Here's the thing.
All takes as
TJ
human eyes.
TJ was a shitty baseball player when he grew up. He was the worst baseball player ever. He hustled, but he
I
had
was the worst baseball player ever.
he
Okay.
didn't have a speck of ability. And it's too bad because he could throw the ball. He was one of those kids who could throw, I mean, a heavy ball, if you know what I mean. He could have been a pitcher. And I mean, the whole thing was he could never repeat his delivery. I worked with him. I'm like, dude, you could be a pitcher. And he just one minute he throwing his leg all the way up in the air, next one dropping his arm down. It's like, holy shit. He made me quit. That's how bad he was. And I remember his football coach said, you know, TJ, does he play baseball? I said, he should, but he's not capable of it. But I mean, he could throw the ball hard. And when he hits the ball, he was like Kingman, home run or strikeout. I mean, everything was a swing for the fences. I mean, even when he was like playing when he was like 8, 9 years old, he swings so hard he'd fall on the ground. I mean, seriously. And, you know, the parents don't like to laugh. But when you see shit like that, you're laughing at that. You see a kid swinging the bat so hard that he falls down on the ground. Damn. But I used to play him out in center field, not because he could catch the ball, because he run fast and just from side, he beat the outfielders wherever he went.
Anyway, James F saying, guys, why don't they have the MLB draft before or after the season like the other 3 sports? Why do the players get drafted in football and basketball? They don't put a jersey on like they do in football.
I don't know. Because it was never a big deal. You got to remember how many rounds the Major League Baseball draft is also. It's like
They draft them at the end of the year because the baseball, the season for college and high school ends usually when the schooling year ends. So it gives them enough time to have the schooling year end, train up a little bit, get ready, and they start summer ball where they go right to playing in, you know, rookie ball or, you know, minor, you know, low A or high A or single A ball.
I don't know why, but it's always been like that. And the whole thing with Major League Baseball draft, it can go however many rounds until people stop drafting players. I mean, if you just want to bring guys into your organization, you could go 40, 50 rounds. That's not, you know, it's not something that's television ready, let's say.
Alexander says, Judge, not better than Soto. Can I have some of the drugs you're smoking? TJ James F said, I'm sorry. I disagree with you, Grumpy, on Soto.
That's okay.
Andrew L said, TJ, what I'm hearing is blasphemous. How in the hell is Judge a better batter than Soto at the end of each career?
It will not be the case. It will not be the case. I guarantee.
Judge will have more RBIs, more home runs, more RBIs with less years played in the league.
You realize when did Aaron Judge start playing in Major League Baseball? How old was he?
24, 25?
20. All right, 25, 26. Every number that Soto has now is gravy. Every single number he has is gravy because he's 23. He already has 354 RBIs and 117 home runs.
What's going on there, Grump? Oh,
what I'm saying is Judge won't even be close to Soto at the end of their careers. Not even close.
Now, again, I guess you're expecting a guy to really start smacking the hell out of the ball, which you haven't shown the propensity to do yet regarding power numbers. But hey, that's fine.
He already has 117 career home runs at 23. So whatever he gets in the next 2 years, that's the starting point. And Judge had 0 at that.
Judge at a big body like that has the ability to last a longer time in the MLB. You have a chance to have more power as well for a longer time as well. when you got big frame, it's easier
They
to
break
train.
down. Bigger players break down more than regular sized people. They do.
Okay.
Name
Anyway.
a guy who's bigger than everybody else who lasted longer than everybody else.
Frank Thomas. Thank you so much. Next comment.
Frank Thomas wasn't 6'7", weighed
How tall do you
270
think Frank
pounds,
Thomas
and he
was?
played first base.
Dude, you could throw him at DH towards the tail end of the career. What are you talking about?
Juan Soto's going to have over 500 home runs in his career. I guarantee that.
You
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And probably
Thomas was
1,500 RBIs.
6'5". Sit down. Frank Thomas was 6'5". Sit down. They called him the Big Hurt for a reason,
And
Grump.
1,500 RBIs minimum. Juan Soto, over 500
Name a
home runs.
big guy who lasts a long
1,500
time. A lot
RBIs.
of big guys last a
Book it.
long time because their bodies have the ability to last.
Book it.
What'd you book? I didn't even listen to you after you said Frank
Juan
Thomas.
Soto
was
will
in
have
the
over
ball.
500 home runs in his career and over 1,500 RBIs. Book it. Book it right now.
Where do you think Aaron Judge is going to end up on that list?
Not even close.
You think Juan Soto is going to have 500 home runs?
Minimum. That's the low. That's a low.
Minimum.
Minimum. He's got 114 now. He's only 23. This
Okay.
kid's going to play till he's 37, 38 years old. Probably have 700-800 home runs, maybe 1,000.
He's going to break the record, right, Grump?
Every record that was ever made. It's the natural. It's like Roy Hobbs.
Wickerman said Soto is good, but he's going to be, but he's not going to be worth what teams are willing to give up for him and to sign him. Yep.
All I want to say is now here's the thing. I don't think he's going to be, he's not Babe Ruth. And what I mean by that is where people, I got to go out to the stadium to watch Juan Soto play. Like Babe Ruth, you want to go see Babe Ruth play, right? That's what you definitely want to do because, Babe Ruth was just an attraction. I don't think he has that type of, marketability. I mean, look
go ahead.
look at Mike Trout, as great as he is.
He's a quiet, soft-spoken guy. So he doesn't garner huge, but it's the same thing with Shohei Ohtani. Soft, quiet, soft-spoken guy. So
And he doesn't speak the language. That hurts him too.
Okay, yeah. I'm just saying, even if he did speak the language well, he'd be a soft-spoken guy. Just what he is.
True.
Andrew L. said, Soto and Judge are both going to help win. It's just the long term. The overall careers, I'm taking Soto. We're not taking anything away from Judge here, too. He's great also.
Yeah.
Frank says, I think the Yankees got Stanton to do Jeter a favor while he was in front office for the Marlins.
No, the Yankees are always hot after a big slugger. Always.
Soto hasn't even hit his prime yet.
True.
Okay, we'll see. James F. says, I take Matt Carpenter over Soto. That's what I'm talking about, James F. Who's the starting pitcher for the All-Star games?
I don't think they've even announced them yet, have they?
I'm not sure. James F. said, no, Grumpy. It was a contract problem on the Mets draft pick. Well, he wanted what his fair value should be, and the Mets weren't willing to give him that with his
the injury thing. I thought they had
injury history.
I thought a contract was kind of agreed upon, and then something broke down at the end. I think it was the physicals, the medicals.
Christopher C. says, Grumpy, you mentioned something about TJ eating something bad, and his wife had to throw it away. What was it?
Okay, it wasn't one item. It was not one. It was two. Here's the thing, because I knew I heard that, and I talked with her, the lovely Paige, right after the podcast yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, yes, there are times where TJ will have, now he won't actually eat the moldy food, but like if he has cheese that has mold on the top and mold on the bottom, if he's like, this cheese has a couple of moldy pieces, he'll peel those off and then eat the one underneath. And the same thing with bread. I'm like, dude,
here's the thing. If there's no mold on the other pieces, it's not like this is ham where it sits in it. Cheese like that, when it's compressed, you can just peel it right off. You could see which ones have mold and bacteria growing on it. You could throw those ones away. And guess what? After I'm done eating my last two slices, I'm good. And I will pick it up the next time at the grocery store. If I want a ham sandwich, if I see maybe the top piece has mold on the top of it, okay, let me go through about 3 or 4 of these pieces of bread and I'll throw those in the trash. And I'll go ahead.
The hamburger, you ate chopped meat that was freaking bad.
No, I did not.
You absolutely did. You even said, yeah, this really doesn't taste good. Well, because the expiration date was like last week. TJ still cooked it up and ate half the damn thing before he said, hey, well, maybe this doesn't taste so good. He'll eat anything. He's like a dog eating out of a trash can. That's what he is.
The last allegation is completely false and libelous at best.
No.
I will say, yeah, I do.
Here was the best part.
If I've got cheese, if it's got on it and we've got it split in slices, I will go ahead and get rid of the few top slices. If the top one has mold on it and get to a slice that doesn't have mold on it, and then I'll eat that.
Here's the best thing. When you hear Paige describe it so rationally and calmly, it makes it even worse.
I'm describing it the same way right now.
She's just, it was terrible. I was like, I knew it.
James S. said, I guess there's no trades in the MLB draft. Oh, wait. Lou's not the general manager of any of these teams to make a trade.
Very good.
John,
yeah,
I don't think Trump. I guess you're turning down that $100, by the way.
You know what? I in some jokey league, I'll absolutely take $100. I'll draft Tua at some point in time.
James also says here, who in their right mind would sign a player to a 15-year deal? Mike Milbury would.
Very good. He's young. He's young, though.
Alexander says, breaking news. Lou Lamoriello has signed Hulu on a 2-year deal with a second-year option with a no-trade clause.
The streaming service Hulu. Lou got a 2-year deal.
Israel says Lindor's contract didn't kick in till this year. So last year's doesn't account into his contract.
And he's performing this year. You might not like his batting average, but he's doing everything else well. And he's been good in the field, too. I love the way I'll tell you what,
that type of money, you have to be unbelievably talented. And when you don't put the bat on the ball enough to get a high on base percentage because you're striking out and you're going for power numbers, right? He's not a guy of huge stature. Power is not going to last him forever. So what he's getting away based off of now is going to fleet and disappear with time. That's what they worry about with him.
I know I say it 100 times. I like the way the Mets are built better than the way the Yankees are built. I just do. You know, for teams that go deep in the playoffs, the Mets can beat you in a number of ways. I know they're not. I mean, if they had Juan Soto, forget about it. They're the favorites.
James F. says Yankees drafted Spencer Jones, outfielder. Joseph C. I couldn't tell you too much about him. I'm not too familiar with Spencer Jones at the moment. Joseph C. said the Mets traded for the wrong guy. They should have got Jose Ramirez instead because it's harder to find a great hitting third baseman, but it would still make that trade for Lindor again.
And Ramirez is having a bounce back year this year as well.
Ramirez has had a lot of good years.
He's been down too.
What were Ramirez's numbers last year?
The year he was on my fantasy team, he sucked balls.
Or his numbers last year is what I asked you. Jesus.
I don't know. All I know is I stopped drafting him. He's
266 with 36 home runs, 103 RBIs, and 111 runs. Man, if that's sucking dick, Grumpy, I wish that Francisco Lindor would do that a little more.
I didn't have on my team.
Better than Lindor's by a mile.
I didn't have on my team last year.
When did you have him on your team?
2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago.
2019. That'd have been the only year.
Okay.
About 4 years ago.
What were his numbers then?
255, 23 homers.
That sounds like it. That sounded like it.
Okay. Frank says at the time Lindor move was a good move. And Shane Spencer.
Spencer. Gosh, I remember him. He was the Yankee savior as an outfielder coming up just before the playoffs, like the last 15, 20 games going into the playoffs. He was on fire. Then he got exposed for being Shane Spencer.
Like Daniel Murphy, except he actually had the productive postseason.
Daniel Murphy was a good player for a lot of years.
Daniel Murphy didn't incorporate the power in his ability until that 1 year where it was the DirecTV. Remember the commercials you used to have with DirecTV? It was Daniel Murphy in the regular season and Daniel Murphy in the postseason.
Daniel Murphy was really a good player for a lot of years. Shane Spencer was not.
Shit.
Shane Spencer, his first year up, he was unbelievable the last 20 games of the season. And he didn't really carry it over in the playoffs, and he was never that player again. Daniel Murphy was a good player for a lot of years. Put up good numbers.
Okay. Tony Cheese says here, I agree with most of TJ's points, but it might not seem like it because he's a good punching bag. Frank says Soto will be like Sanchez. Get the money and get the lazies.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Okay.
Now that you get now here's the thing.
Got some comments going. We got a few things we got to hit on though. Go ahead.
All I want to say is you really have to look into a player to see if that's his makeup or not. That's all I'll say on that.
Okay. Alexander says, don't sleep on Tua. And it's not a make or break year for him. He'll get another chance.
Oh,
If he's underwhelming this year, Alexander, would you not be upset as a Miami Dolphin fan with Waddle and both Tyreek Hill at wide receiver? I would.
here's what's going to happen. If he has another underwhelming year this year, Tommy Boy is going to go right down the highway to Miami and lead the Dolphins. I don't know if they'll win a Super Bowl, but it'll be close.
Joseph C. said, the only guy I remember from that Piazza trade was Preston Wilson, who I liked.
Mookie Wilson's kid, Preston Wilson. Again,
Mookie Wilson's dad.
no. Mookie Wilson was Preston Wilson's dad.
Okay. No. Mookie Wilson was Preston Wilson's dad, really? Okay.
Yes.
Alexander says, I sent it to you, TJ, the players that were traded. Okay, gotcha. I'll look that up in a second. Drew L said, Grump, I didn't know today was National Verbal Abuse Your Nephew Day.
I haven't abused my nephew at all today.
He's
My
abused
son.
his son.
My son, yes, but not my nephew.
Shay says, with the Mets drafting Parada and having Alvarez, people are saying that it's like having Mike Piazza and Gary Carter at the same time.
Gary Carter was a better catcher than Mike Piazza. Absolutely. Piazza had better hitting numbers. He did, but Mike Piazza was, Gary Carter was a better catcher. He really knew how to handle that pitching staff. He was really, really good. I mean, that's why the Mets won that championship in '86. Carter behind the plate, Hernandez at first base, just solid veteran leaderships, even with Strawberry and Gooden being coked out of their minds. Those guys were able to settle it down. They were.
We traded away. Alexander sent that to me. Preston Wilson, Ed Yarnell, and Jeff Gotts.
Jeff Getz. Yeah.
Jeff.
Two pitch.
Jeff is how that's
Jeff.
spelled.
It was pronounced Jeff. Yeah, two pitchers. Ed Yarnell was a lefty pitcher, and Getz was, I think, a righty pitcher, and Preston Wilson was an outfielder. I mean, that's a no-brainer deal, and it worked out for the Mets without a doubt. Got the better player in the trade. It worked out.
Shay says, the thing about trading for Soto, I'm a prospect hugger, so I can't separate from the top prospects. But I'll still do it in a heartbeat. But not sure if I'd give up Alvarez with the other prospect.
Alvarez is a maybe, and Soto is a guarantee. He's a definite. That's why you're getting the best player in the deal. Have to do it.
Frank's saying no way 500 home runs. Drew L said, I know Clay Holmes is going to be a closer. I can tell you that.
He's the closer now.
Yeah. Grump, Big Hurt is an Auburn guy. War Eagle Grump.
That's true. That's true.
Frank Thomas.
Now he's selling supplements for male enhancement or something. I don't know.
He sells testosterone boosting.
Testosterone booster, yeah.
Testosterone boosters. Yeah, there's no way.
Doug Flutie's piggybacking on that, and somebody else too.
Alexander says, what do you guys expect? Lindor to hit 50 home runs and 160 RBIs? No, I expect him to hit like 260, 270 at least, not 240s.
All right. He's 15 points from hitting 260. He's 15 points. He's
hit last year too.
And he's got 16 home runs and 50-something RBIs. I don't know what you're complaining about. He's a shortstop. And he's done a good job.
230 last year, and he's hitting 245 this year. That's not good enough. You gotta get contact on the ball more often. Come on.
Maybe that's what they want him to do. Maybe they want him to try to change his launch angle. That's the thing you hear, right? That's why, averages are down this year. Why? Because the analytics guys want home runs. They have some little spreadsheet that says, well, a home run, if you hit a home run this many at bats, it doesn't matter if you strike out. Who cares if you put the bat on the ball with three guys have to get a hit where, it's just ridiculous.
James F. said, you guys think the MLB draft is trying to copy the NFL draft by having the draft outdoors like the NFL, meaning or trying to get more fans to come to the MLB draft?
The problem with that Major League Baseball is always going to have with their draft is no one has seen any of these kids play. No one.
And you look at the draft, right? And this could be a year that you could argue, oh, you should have some familiarity with the top tier guys that were drafted. You look at them, right? Jackson Holliday's Matt Holliday's kid. And you look at Drew Jones is Andrew Jones's kid, right? So you'd be like, oh, I'm familiar with them, but until they were drafted, you're like, oh, is he related to them? Because it's just like they don't get the hype. You're not, I mean, like nobody's watching high school baseball to determine how good these guys and these kids are.
Because it's not like college football or college basketball, which is on TV, all the time.
Yeah.
On national, every station. College baseball and high school baseball, it's never on television. You have the college baseball World Series, whoop-de-doo. That just shows, how many kids. There's so many out there. It's, it's never going to be the same because you don't get enough coverage of the kids when they're growing up. Same thing with the NHL draft, by the way.
Tony Cheese says expired meat or cut up hot dogs and ramen with mozzarella and Parmesan. Tough call.
Yeah. Like I say, it's like an animal. It's like an animal.
Gary Carter was the better defensive catcher.
Way better. It wasn't even close.
I think Wilson was the only player that worked out for the Marlins. Yeah.
And he was just to me an average pro. He had a couple of years which were pretty good. But for the most part, it's certainly not Mike Piazza.
James F. said, how many rounds are in the MLB draft? Doesn't it go until people stop drafting?
Yes. When teams say, I don't want to draft anymore, and they drop out, you might see Kansas City Royals or Baltimore Royals. Well, we want to keep drafting. Well, they just pick after pick after pick. Eventually you stop.
Mm-hmm. Alexander said, do you guys think that Edwin Diaz is the best closer in the game right now?
He's right up there. That's the way, but with closers, right?
Great. Some years are good, some years are bad.
Right. You only get guys like Mariano Rivera or Raleigh Fingers or Goose Gossage. Or Lee Smith. Most guys are not that. They're up and down.
Like K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez had that 1 year where he broke. What was it? He temporarily broke the record, or he broke the record for most saves in a year, and it was beaten later on.
57 saves in the season.
Yeah, my God. K-Rod. Francisco Rodriguez. Man, oh man, taking this back, Grumpy. We are going to do our first ever segment of Guess What Happens Next. So I'm going to hope this, if I go large screen, it's not going to automatically start playing. Okay. So this is our scenario. We've got AJ. This is a minor league baseball game. We've got AJ Dillon, who's doing an Oklahoma drill with the mascot. AJ Dillon, the running back from the Green Bay Packers. And, we've got our mascot here. Grumpy, we have, and everybody at home can play along with this. So you can go ahead and spam what you think is going to happen in the comment section below. We've got 4 options. So option number 1 is that AJ Dillon stands up. He runs through the mascot, taking the helmet or taking the hat clear off this mascot, and he gets absolutely knocked on his ass. That's
the mascot gets knocked on his butt.
That's option A. Option B, because it's a minor league game, somebody accidentally, inadvertently walks in between the Oklahoma drill and gets hit by AJ Dillon, who runs over both the bystander as well as the mascot. Ooh. That is option number B. Option C is the mascot goes low and goes ahead and trips up AJ Dillon, believe it or not. Option D we have is as the team were throwing their balls in to the dugout as they just got done warming up, a ball inadvertently hits AJ Dillon. So I will go over them again if you need me to. For those
no,
playing.
I do not. It's going to be either one or two.
One more time for those who are listening, so you can get it one more time. Oh, go ahead, Grumpy. If it's so easy for you,
go ahead. Repeat them. A, AJ Dillon runs over the mascot. B,
knocking his helmet, knocking his face mask off, and sending him straight on his ass.
B,
option B. AJ, there's an inadvertent bystander who walks in front of this at the minor league game, and AJ Dillon hits the bystander and the mascot. Option C, mascot goes low and trips up AJ Dillon. Option D, as the balls are being thrown in, one inadvertently hits AJ Dillon as they're getting the balls off as they're warming up.
It's either going to be A or B, and since it's minor league baseball, I'm going to say it's going to be B, that he trucks a bystander and the mascot.
Okay. Let's go ahead and watch here, Grump.
It's A or B. Okay, it was A. I knew it had to be one of those.
It wasn't as sorry. It's a little short clip, but I'm like, well, Jesus Christ. Well, let me ask you this:
why is A.J. Dillon running that hard at this guy? I mean, he's a freaking mascot. It's like,
look at the way he's standing to the mascot. Doesn't even like
because you can't get up off the ground. You can't get up off the ground wearing that big hat, that big that thing for the mascot thing. You can barely even see out of it. He looks out of the little mouth. That's where he sees out of. He can't even see AJ. He can't even see AJ Dillon coming. He turns around. He's barely up, and he gets run over like a freight train.
I'm shocked his hands on the ground. There's a huge size difference as well, and you're right. I don't know why they were trying as hard as they were.
He really didn't need to truck that guy. I mean, he's trying his best to get up.
He's trying. He's got to hold the mascot head to make sure it doesn't go flying all over the place.
Look at this. He's not up, and AJ. He's already one. Okay, one, two.
Well, it's good. Here's the thing. Mascot is just standing straight up and down. He's got to try to keep his hat on. Look where his hands are. He's not even trying to make a tackle, and he just drills him. Unnecessary. I mean, look at him. He lowers the body. This is by the time he sees him, he's on top of him. I hope they offer some sort of medical insurance for this mascot at the end of this game.
They banned the Oklahoma drill in football. They don't let you do it anymore because of injury. Only in minor league baseball can you have a professional football player run over a mascot in an Oklahoma drill. Look at this guy. Holy shit. He knocked him like 6-7 foot back.
I like how he falls. He hits the ground first as his head, as his little mascot helmet is just fluttering in the air. He hits him with so much force that A.J. Dillon about falls over.
I mean, I hope he apologized to this guy. And he's still running. All right, dude, stop.
He ran through the tackle. I'll tell you that much. Let's see if you can go ahead and do that next season there, A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, I bet they do not have that promotion again.
I don't know. It's an odd one for certain. But yes, Grumpy, I found you figured that one a little enjoyable.
I can't even believe that A.J. Dillon did that because, well, let's say you get injured on something like that.
Screwing around in some minor league baseball game.
Yeah. Running people over. Oh, yikes.
Christ almighty. I've got a few more questions and topics. I've got this one. This is a good one, Grump. So, God almighty. We've got you talk about the fails of the week. So I believe this is at a Rays game. I'm trying to pull it up here in a second. At a Rays game, you know, they have the guys who go ahead and shag the balls on the side when they're foul balls and they throw them to fans.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and show you this guy. He has a little bit of a fail on this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he knew it too. You know what? Here's the thing. He, instead of bending, look at him. He just brings his knees in. What the hell? The kid sucks. Lose some weight, kid.
Oh, man. So, but hey, it's not like this is all negative, Grump. He did go ahead and fail miserably, but he was given a chance later on, Grump, to go ahead and save himself. He was given a chance later on to save himself. And luckily,
it's a different game.
No, it's the same game. Oh, it's a different game?
Not the same game, different game.
Oh,
Look at the uniforms, two different uniforms.
Same ball boy was given a chance to redeem himself.
He's going to lose it. Look at this. Dive for it, kid.
Oh, he made it, but about fell on his ass. But hey, there is a silver lining, Grump, and everybody gives him high fives and a joke around.
Thank God you didn't get us killed like last time.
Oh, good gracious.
At least he didn't fall on his face. He was close.
I'm happy he didn't. I'm happy there's a silver lining at the end of that one because you don't want to see this is the ball boy. It's a little guy. It's a kid.
Yeah, good. I thought he was going to fall. That would have been really funny. If he would have fallen,
didn't catch it. No, hey man, it's about. Hey, he redeemed himself, Grump.
He needs to stop eating so many hot dogs with the guys in between innings, though.
He needs to get off the great the Bambino's diet. The great Bambino, Grump.
He Bill Bucknered the easy play, and then he makes one that going away from his body in a backhand. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. I do have a question. A lot of wide receivers have changed teams this year. I'm interested what you think. Who's going to have the more productive season? Devontae Adams or Tyreek Hill? What, Grump?
I'm thinking, okay?
Oh, no, I don't have you pulled up. That's why I just heard something.
Here's the thing. Devontae Adams' numbers will not be as big as they were last year. I think Tyreek Hill is a little bit on the downside. But I'm still going to say Tyreek Hill's numbers are going to be better.
You think Tyreek Hill's on the downside?
Yeah, I do. I don't think he was anywhere near as good last year as he had been in previous years. And I think he doesn't have the quarterback this year that he had previously. That's pretty obvious. Now, Rodgers, here's the thing. Rodgers, everything was going to Adams. That's not going to be the way it is in the Josh McDaniels offense for Devontae Adams. That's not going to be the case.
So you think that Tyreek Hill is going to have the better year with his new team than Devontae Adams?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be close.
Okay.
Adams won't be as good. Hill might be a little bit better. Hill was really boom or bust last year. He'll have really good games and in games where he's invisible. Where Devontae Adams, if he's playing, he's putting up big numbers. The thing is with Josh
Devontae Adams I think he's going to outperform Tyreek Hill this year.
And he could, but you got to remember, Josh McDaniels likes to throw to the slot guy, which is Hunter Renfrow.
It's going to open up more downfield passes.
I'm not saying he's not going to throw downfield to Devontae Adams, but Adams was getting all the targets in Green Bay. So I don't think his numbers will be as good as last year. He's not going to get that many targets this year.
I think their offense is more well-balanced than the offense was in Green Bay. I think the quarterback, obviously not as good, but I think overall it's a more balanced team.
Yeah.
Offense.
I agree. I agree with that.
James said it was going to be none of the above. Frank said, man, he broke his ribs. She said, this reminds me of something that happened at the Syracuse Mets game with this blow-up thing. And somebody did it on the Iron Pigs.
The Iron Pigs.
The Lehigh Iron Pigs.
Yeah, I think the Lehigh, right? Iron Pigs, the Lehigh Iron Pigs. I mean, that's a name right there. The Iron Pigs. How can you not be a fan if you're living in that town? I mean, the Iron Pigs. Go Pigs.
Drew L says A.J. Dillon has got that grown man strength. Don't sleep on him.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, it's a silly little. It's just a between innings thing. Hey, A.J. Dillon's here. He didn't need to truck that guy. I mean, he destroyed him. I mean, he's not an athlete. Mascot Boy is not an athlete, right? He had to sit up. Thank God he wasn't laying down. If he was laying down,
I'm not even sure he would have been up in time if he was laying flat down.
This is what would have happened. AJ would have come over and given him a big elbow smash. He never would have got up.
Tua and Tyreek Hill will, says Alexander, and said Tyreek and Tua will be a deadly combination.
Man, Alexander, I love you, baby.
Don M thought it was going to be B.
I thought it was going to be B because that's the type of thing that happens in minor league baseball. Something crazy, but that was crazy too.
I was trying to pick a few that could have been there. Shay says Mets 14th overall pick. Jet Williams lived in Port Jeff from ages 2 to 4 before the family moved to Texas. And the Lehigh Iron Pigs. You think how good? Or you think that's good? How about the Bringington Rumble Ponies or the Akron Rubber Duckies?
See, those are great names. You know, here's the thing. When you have a billion minor league clubs in small towns, they're all not going to be called, the Giants or, the Rockies for, everybody in Colorado is not going to be called the Rockies. Iron Pigs, Rubber Duckies. Oh, geez, those are good names.
Look at this. So now I want to listen here with Gronkowski. He's retired a little while ago. Seems to not entertaining a return to the NFL or a return to football.
I would answer, obviously. I would obviously answer the greatest quarterback of all times and ask him how he's doing and tell him I'm doing good. But I wouldn't go back to football now. Love the game, love the game, and definitely blessed with all the opportunities the game of football has given me and the relationships I've met. Obviously here in New England for 9 seasons and now in Canada for 2. But no, done with football and stepping my feet into the business world, the business ventures, and just seeing what's out there and where I can, find my place.
Do you think it's really the end for Rob Gronkowski, Grump?
I think if Tommy Boy calls him up week 10 and they really need him, he might come back, but they'd have to really need him and Brady would have to beg.
Hands and knees.
I just find it interesting that he wants to dip his foot into the business world. Now, I love Rob Gronkowski. I think it's impossible not to like Rob Gronkowski. Impossible. I mean, like I said, I've always been a fan since he played for the Patriots and the Bucks with my boy Brady. But I think even people who don't like Brady or didn't like the Patriots have to like Rob Gronkowski. I'm just like business tycoon Rob Gronkowski. I just don't see it. Just don't see it.
Well, let's change this a little bit here. I want to ask you, talking about the AFC West, this division has made a lot of moves, and I think, big moves also for their teams this offseason. And, in the past, right, it's been the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been kind of top dog in that AFC West with Patrick Mahomes leading the way. Wanted to ask you, looking at these additions, if you think there could be, a new king in the AFC West, right? You look at the Chargers adding Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, improving the defense for the Chargers in a big way. You look at the Denver Broncos adding in Russell Wilson, finally adding in a legitimate quarterback. I mean, is this the best quarterback since Elway, Grump?
Peyton Manning was pretty good there for a couple of years.
Peyton Manning, I thought, was finished every year he was there.
55 touchdowns one year for Denver.
Okay.
So when he left from Indianapolis, I mean, he was not long term, but for a couple of years he was pretty good, and then he just totally fell off the cliff.
Okay, so Randy Gregory, they also added defensive end there, I think, from the Cowboys, and you got the Los Angeles Raiders add Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones, and you got the Kansas City Chiefs losing Tyreek Hill, obviously, and adding Juju Smith-Schuster and Valdez-Scantling.
I wish they would have put who they lost also. Key players they lost.
Well, the question was, who had the best additions this offseason in the AFC West? Who's the most improved team is what the question was, but I don't know. I think that one's too easy of an answer. I think the Chargers are the better improved team. Chargers are the Broncos.
I'm going to say the biggest acquisition for that division this year was Russell Wilson, because he's quarterback.
Russell Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know how great the Broncos are going to be, but he's a massive upgrade over what they have. Not to put down what Khalil Mack is a big, big upgrade for the Chargers, but he's a linebacker as opposed to a quarterback. Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver, certainly coming in that division. But even a bigger addition is the head coach and Josh McDaniels. And Chandler Jones, really, really under the radar, good move by the Raiders. And then you got the Chiefs. Juju Smith-Schuster, possession guy, injured a lot. Marco Valdez-Scantling, he's just guy who runs fly patterns, and I'm more down on him now since I lost him in my dynasty league to pick up another player this offseason, so I'm going to dump all over him. Cool. But I think that those two guys together doesn't add up to the loss of Tyreek Hill.
Well, Grump, we're here at the tail end. Oh, we got one more comment. Goon says, "Greetings, good-looking chaps. Do you think it's true that Zach Wilson is having trouble keeping his Johnson in his pants?
His pee-pee in his pants.
Or is the media merely scraping the bottom of the toilet for a juicy story?"
The media is always scraping the bottom of the toilet for a juicy story. There was something.
Both. I'm going to say both can be true.
I mean, Zach Wilson's living the life right now, isn't he, though? I mean,
start throwing some touchdowns, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, think about it then.
Pretty quick.
I mean, I know he was nailing his mom's best friend, but here's the thing. He's going to get all the women on the block if he starts actually performing on the field.
Okay. But yeah, you're getting your point, though, Grump, before you got sidetracked?
I think I made my point.
You said it. Here's the thing, and you changed it to a different area. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
Shay says, Jesus, the draft's been going on for 3.5 hours. You're only at pick 35. I was about to say, the MLB draft takes way too long. Way too long.
And
Ugh.
and the biggest problem is no one's familiar with the players. That's the biggest issue.
Well, Grump, we're here at the end of the show today. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you're new to the show, make sure you stick around a while. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you again, Grumpy.
My pleasure.